Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge television talk show where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. on the Central Time Zones. I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can also find us syndicated on television, and that's Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on the newscasters.com. It's always so good to be with you. Continue sending emails, by the way. Donna@donnasedge.com. That's Donna@donnasedge.com. Everybody's favorite sportscaster is on with us right now. His name is AP Steadham, and he is from LA, Lower Alabama. I've heard you say that on a few of your recordings, so I thought it was hey, but it's so good to be with you today. Man, everybody's going crazy. The emails we're getting is just like football, yay, college football. And I think, and you said this correctly. I was getting a lot of little nasty emails from everybody, all upset about players being paid, just different things,
Yes.
And you said, oh, it's football. They'll be back, and they're back.
Be back. Yeah.
People,
they're ready for the football. It's August. You can feel it in the air, and everybody's so excited. And Donna, there's that element of hope. Everybody has hope for their team that it's going to be better. And for some, yes. For some, it'll be maybe the same, and some maybe not as good. That's what's going to happen.
Well, I've got to talk about this neck of the woods right here, South Carolina. And it's going strong right now. Like every store you go into has either Clemson or South Carolina in it. And there's a few, folks that are for other teams, but it's mainly those two teams right there. And people are fussing and they're jabbing. They're not necessarily fussing. They're jabbing at each other.
Oh, yeah, because South Carolina, they had a very good season on the cusp of the college football playoff, earning a berth, Donna, to be one of the 12 teams. And, of course, Clemson did make the playoff. And Clemson had, I think, extraordinary improvement by their quarterback, Klubnik. He's from Austin, Texas, ended up playing Texas in the playoffs in his hometown. And, Texas won the ball game. But I think that was one of the most impressive performances, his development as the quarterback of the Clemson Tigers. And Donna, bringing up South Carolina and Clemson, their first couple games, Clemson is going to be in Death Valley. They're hosting the other Death Valley team and the other Tiger, LSU, out of the SEC. So it's ACC versus the SEC, and we love those matchups between the conferences, the P4 conferences. And then we have Virginia Tech also from the ACC facing the South Carolina Gamecocks in Atlanta. And Donna, right now I'm supposed to be at that game, South Carolina's first game in Atlanta, Georgia. That's on a Sunday afternoon. But those are two opening week ball games. And Donna, this opening week is going to be sensational. The number of great ball games. Texas is traveling to Columbus, Ohio, and that was the Cotton Bowl game last year in the playoffs. So Texas plays Ohio State and they haven't played very much through the history. So that's exciting. Arch Manning with Texas, and then possibly Julian Sayin, the transfer from Alabama, quarterback, Ohio State. You have Florida State is hosting Alabama in Tallahassee. So you have two coaches. It's getting a little hot for both of them. Mike Norvell of Florida State had a total collapse last year with their football team. Of course, Alabama ended up 9-4, and they're trying to get to the college football playoffs and earn a berth to be one of the 12 teams. So that's another opening weekend game. Like I said, LSU and Clemson, that's one of the better games. Then down you have the orange everywhere. It'll be Tennessee and Syracuse in Atlanta. So it'll be orange all over that city.
It'll feel like October. It'll feel like Oktoberfest.
It will, right? It sure will. Yeah. So that's big ball game there. So it's nice to have these games between the the power of conferences, because those are pendulum games, I call them, Donna. If you can win those games, it helps down the road with possibly your seeding or even earning a berth in the college football playoffs. Now, here's something interesting, Donna. You can lose that game. And people said, oh, it's okay, you can lose that game. Yes, but that won't help you in your seeding. If you do enter the college football playoffs, you won't have that game to rely on for your strength of schedule that you won. So it's great to play in the ball games. It's even nicer to win because it'll help you down the road with your college football playoff berth and your seeding as well. And it helps your conference too, the strength of schedule that you beat a team from the SEC or the ACC or the Big 12 or the Big 10. So,
so we had a lot of emails and texts from people in this neck of the woods.
Yes.
And here's the chatter, but now you know about chatter. Chatter can be totally false. It could be, it's nowhere near the truth kind of thing. But the chatter is the teams up here could possibly be going into the SEC. Have you heard that chatter?
Yes. You see, and I always thought that the team that the SEC would try to take, that they would want, is kind of keeping it quiet with North Carolina. But Clemson is among that as well. Clemson, North Carolina, they could be moving to the SEC. In these next 5 years, Donna, maybe everything shakes out with all these conferences, and maybe there's a final move, the final chess move in the next 5 years. We've seen some of the developments over time. Texas and Oklahoma came on board last year from the Big 12, but maybe that final move with all these Power 4 conferences, maybe it's within the next 5 years when we finally settle in to having, 18, 20 teams. The Big 10 is already 18 now. The SEC is already 16 now. So maybe we move into that 20 or 20 plus range with trying to take Clemson, North Carolina. I don't know if they take Florida State. I don't know who else they want exactly, but I think that final move is coming in the next 5 years, I would say.
Is that not too much? I mean, it just feels crowded.
Yeah, I don't understand all that, because why not keep the conferences? Because how do you come up with a true champion, Donna? If you have 20 teams in the conference, you can only play 8, 9, 10 games a year. So that means you didn't play another 8 or 9 teams in your conference. How could you be a true champion of that conference?
True. And then I think about this too, because sometimes it's not necessarily within your conference where the battle is. It can be outside of the conference. That makes it more fun.
Yeah. So I really liked having the Pac-12 on the West Coast, and you had the Southwest Conference of the Big 12, let's say the SEC, the ACC, the Big 10. I liked having those regional conferences, and you have those games between those conferences during the season, and then you have the playoffs and the bowl games. But for whatever reason, Donna, and when you're always searching for the answer, like I said, money. That's the answer. That's the answer to the question. Why?
On everything.
Why are all these teams trying to get together? I mean, you have California and Stanford in the ACC, one coast to the other. You have Rutgers and UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington in the Big 10, Maryland, coast to coast. I think it loses its regional luster. That flavor that you had of one coast that's going to play the other coast. Now they're in the same conference, so there's not that excitement to me.
It takes that little zing out of it. But
yes,
your thoughts about when Texas came in?
Yeah, Texas and Oklahoma, to some degree, you could say, well, they were adjacent to the SEC. And Texas A&M is in the SEC. Missouri is right there with Arkansas and Missouri, Oklahoma, all next to each other. But you have a team like Nebraska, who was in the Big 12. They're up in the Big 10 now. They've been in that Big 10 for a little while. So, but there's nothing you or I can do to change the landscape. It's going to be, if the money's right, the move will be made.
Mm-hmm. And it does change the landscape quite a bit.
Yes, yes. I mean, how do you're Maryland, let's say, for instance, and you've got to play, or you're UCLA, and you've got to play a noon Eastern time game against Maryland. So your fans are awoke. They're at 9 o'clock. They have to wake up at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning to turn the TV on, which they do. They do most of the time anyway. But it was to watch the games on the, east of the Mississippi at that time. Let's say it wasn't to watch your team UCLA play at 9 in the morning. But now you have to do those types of things because you're in the Big Ten Conference and vice versa. This is the way the people in power. This is what they want. And there's nobody who's going to tell them otherwise. There's nobody who's going to interfere with their decisions.
If that's part of the game plan, that's just the way it's going to be.
Yeah, there's nothing anyone could do about it. The fans are not. They're not the tiniest variable in the equation, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but going from one time zone to the next, I'm just talking where I'm at right now. How many times have I messed up our show timing? Because I'm Eastern time now, and you're Central time, and I don't know how many times I messed that up. And I seem to be picking on you, but I'm just saying for a player, what does that do about their rest time?
Yeah, I mean, you have to make some adjustments. I think I spoke to Lincoln Riley of USC and asked him a question about the travel, and he said, there's a few things that we have to change in our preparation. When you're playing a game either on the East Coast or the Midwest, it's still minimum 2 hours. It's 3 hours if it's on the East Coast. So that's a big change for your players because, like I say, if it's a noontime Eastern game, that means it's like playing at 9 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast for those players. And with football, you have away games. It's usually 4 or 5, Donna. So maybe once or twice you have that 3 hour difference. Definitely have the 2 hour difference if you're playing in the Midwest. So you've got to make that mental adjustment and provide those for your players to understand and get adapted and figure out the best way to be prepared to play in that game when it's different time zones. It's not just one now; it's 2 or 3 time zones.
I'm not sure there has to be mental exercises in order to do that. I was working for a company one time, and so I was on a business trip in Las Vegas, and that's quite a difference in time. Then I had to be in New York next week, and that that was a time warp. I mean, it was
reverse, right?
So I was just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. I don't know for a fact, Donna, but I'm thinking if I have a game on the East Coast, and I'm not sure you can work this out with their schedules. Can my team practice at 8 or 9 in the morning on the West Coast? I don't know. I mean, I would think your players, they try to come up with a schedule so they could practice at a particular time during the season. And I would say, I don't know if players are open from 9 to 11 on the West Coast. They might have classes. Yeah.
I will say this. It's easier to adjust from Eastern time to Pacific time than it is Pacific to Eastern time. I mean, it's
probably
easier.
So.
For me, it was easier. But when I
probably so.
Around, I was a zombie the rest of the day.
Yeah, probably so. I would say if I was the commissioner of the conference, I would suggest when we're bringing a team from the West Coast to the East, let's see if we can make sure the game, let's say, is minimum 3:30 Eastern, which would be 12:30 on the West Coast. And that's a lot of times they'll play their game on the West Coast at 12:30 because that's been the history of being on television, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 on the West Coast. So I'm thinking, let's see if we can we can make that, have that courtesy for the teams from the West Coast making their trip to the East Coast. Now, the teams making the trip from the East Coast to the West Coast, if they're playing a 7 o'clock Eastern game, Donna, that's fine because the West Coast team, it'll be 4 o'clock out there, 7 o'clock on the East Coast, no issue. But there is a special circumstances, I think, for the West Coast teams. I think the East Coast teams, they're used to playing, let's say, at a night game, 7 or 8 o'clock, which would be 4 or 5 on the West Coast. So that's no problem. Now, if you have a game that's scheduled on the, and I don't think they do this, probably not, because they don't announce all the times, Donna. We just know a few of the early games, but I don't think there's a 12:30 West Coast game, because when I say 12:30, I'm meaning Eastern time. That would be 9:30 in the morning. People at the stadium, 9:30 in the morning. I don't think that the Big Ten Conference has. I don't think they play those games at that specific time. So they understand.
See, that it could be by design. So the other team out by having it at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. I would say the earliest time that they want a West Coast team to play in that time zone would be probably noon or 12:30, something like that. I'm thinking, which would be 3 o'clock on the East Coast time or 2 o'clock in the Midwest, the Central time. Yeah.
Fair. So, let's go into a commercial break. We'll be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there, okay? We'll be right back. Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
I'm excited to announce our Christmas extravaganza is finally here. Get this season's flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. They won't last long, so get them while you can. Our famous My Slippers, they haven't been on sale for over a year. Regularly $119.98, now only $59.98. Our 6-piece towel sets are back in stock with extremely limited quantities, only $29.98. With hundreds of MyPillow products, there's something for everyone on your Christmas list. Bathrobes, duvets, quilts, down comforters, and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to save on all MyPillow products. For example, flannel sheets for as low as $59.98. or our 6-piece towel sets, just $29.98. But that's not all. I'm extending our 60-day money-back guarantee until March 1st of 2025. Plus, all orders over $75 or more ship absolutely free.
We are back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Education Talk Show, and I have AP Steadham with me right now. AP, as we see it. AP, what's going on with your show this week and last week?
Yeah, last week we had the voice of the Auburn Tigers, Andy Burcham, and Andy's very good. Have a lot of insight in those two segments that we had Andy for the show last week, and of course Auburn, Donna, they're looking to have improvement with their win-loss record, of course, and they brought in Jackson Arnold, the transfer from Oklahoma. They brought in Deuce Knight, a hotshot freshman from Mississippi, and then a transfer quarterback from Stanford as well. So they have plenty of options at the quarterback position, and I think you're going to see them utilize those players during the course of the year over a 12-game schedule. And they brought in some transfers on the offensive line, and the strength of the team down is probably going to be at the wide receiver position for Auburn, I would say. Defense should be pretty good, yeah.
Cinderella team this coming season.
Who's the Cinderella team, Donna?
Would it be Auburn?
I think Auburn would be one of the Cinderella teams if you're looking at it from that perspective. I'm thinking that Florida has the toughest schedule again. And can they duplicate last year's record, Donna, where they upset Ole Miss and I think they beat LSU? And so, yeah, Florida would be a Cinderella team. The teams in contention, the usual suspects: Alabama, Georgia, LSU. South Carolina's trying to get into that 12-game playoff. Can Tennessee repeat to get in the 12-game playoff? They have a new quarterback, Joey Aguilar. They transferred from Appalachian State. It was at UCLA for 5 minutes, and then, they swapped quarterbacks, UCLA and Tennessee. Texas A&M was on the cusp, Donna. They were right in contention. They hosted Texas at the end of the year. They probably would have made the playoffs, but they lost that game. They had a good season with the new coach, Mike Elko. Missouri, can they be a team that they have a transfer quarterback from Penn State? So, but Auburn would be a Cinderella type team along with Florida to make the playoffs, I think, Donna, because they haven't won in, I think the last 3 years they've had, I don't think they've won the last 3 years, right? Auburn. So, they would be a big Cinderella, Auburn. I'm not including Kentucky. They had one win in the conference last year. So I'm not presenting them as any hopeful Cinderella team. They're just trying to get back to winning ball games in the Southeastern Conference.
Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is that little Chihuahua dog, the little fighter.
Donna, you brought up Vanderbilt. That's a good choice. Can they get a little bit better with Diego Pavia, the magical quarterback? They would be definitely a Cinderella plus. I would call them Cinderella plus. Yeah.
Shocked last year.
Yeah, they had a terrific season from, like I say, not winning a game the year before in the conference to beating the number one team, Alabama.
Yeah.
And taking Texas to a 27-24 game and Missouri to double overtime, and then winning that bowl game against Georgia Tech, who gave Georgia all kind of fits with many overtimes. Georgia finally beat them. So yeah, Vanderbilt, Florida. I'd say those would be two Cinderella teams from the SEC if they make the championship game, make the playoffs. Yeah, for sure, no question.
If I were a betting person, it would be Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they
figured it out, and they came from. I'm talking about impossible odds.
Oh, they did. Yeah, it's no wins to beating the number one team. That's, I don't know if you can go much further, can you, Donna? Than to 0 wins the year before to beating the number one team that was in your conference at the time, Alabama. So yeah, that's huge for them. But
fastest pace on record. I mean, because I'm just telling you, everybody laughed at them the previous year. I mean, it was a joke.
Yeah.
They're not laughing now.
No, and there's some other games that we just want to mention that, for instance, Arkansas hosting Notre Dame for the first time.
Wow.
That ticket is going to be high priced. Maybe that's the highest priced ticket ever in Arkansas history. And that's saying something, Donna.
Mm-hmm.
Highest price ticket to have Notre Dame visit Fayetteville, Arkansas in the history of their program, 100 plus years. So that's big. You know, Miami, Florida has to play in Miami, big ball game within the state rivals. Yeah, Florida has the most difficult schedule. I mean, they play Texas and Georgia, Tennessee, and LSU. That's a really difficult schedule, Donna. To have Florida contend with those teams, but their quarterback DJ Lagway, he had his moments last year. He's got to be consistently good at a minimum for them to have a chance and all to be challenge those teams. But it's people are so excited about college football, and this year in particular, Donna. Like I said, that first weekend in college football with the SEC and the other conferences, they're playing Ohio State and they're playing Clemson. They're playing Syracuse. You know, they're playing Virginia Tech. They're playing Florida State. I mean, those are some really good teams outside the SEC that makes it challenging, and you have a chance to really show your pride. The SEC does that very first weekend and beyond with all these games scheduled.
Well, Cammie has a question for you, and her son is a kicker at a high school in Texas, and he's really looking at kickers. He wants to know who you're looking at right now, who's very promising. Yeah,
well, you know, Alex McPherson comes back to Auburn. You know, he was out with an illness, Donna, and he was very good the year before. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking for him to recover and provide a good kicking game for the Auburn Tigers. So I'm watching him because we know that he's very efficient and successful as a kicker, but he had the illness. He had to sit out most of the year. So I'll be looking at him.
Yeah, that could be the Cinderella, the kicker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We always like the kickers, Donna, because they could determine the outcome. You have all these close ball games, these high flying offenses and defenses that give people fits, but comes down to the person kicking the ball.
It does every time. Okay, AP, before we go, what's happening with AP as we see it this coming week?
Yeah, Donna, we haven't got our guests this week, but we're going to be talking college football, primarily the SEC. And like I said, we'll go over some things that are happening within the league and some of these early matchups and projections and predictions. And Donna, I think, you know, people thinking about Georgia and Texas maybe, but I think it's just wide open, that SEC.
I would never bet on a ball game. There is just I don't bet anyway, but I just
right. Yeah. Yeah, it's wide open. A lot of pressure on Texas.
If you had to pick the top three,
Yes. Yeah, Texas, probably Georgia. I'd say Alabama. And then right below them, Donnie, you have LSU, Tennessee, South Carolina, Florida, maybe just below that, and everybody else scrambling. Missouri, Texas, Texas A&M, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State is trying to recover. And we didn't even mention Ole Miss. Ole Miss is in there too, of course. Yeah. Ole Miss is in there trying to contend to get in those playoffs. They were a game short.
One thing you could bet on is that you just don't know, not until it happens.
No, Arkansas. Yeah, every single team, if their quarterback plays above and beyond their capabilities, then you can have that extreme hope that they would make the college football playoffs. Yeah.
Well, we got to go. Thank you, AP, for coming with it, even though I messed up the time on the time zone.
That's okay. Thank you, Donna. Thank you.
And thank you guys so much for watching. You're the reason we do this. Continue sending emails, Donna@DonnasEdge.com, Donna@DonnasEdge.com. We'll be talking to you a little bit later. Take care.